Okay, if that's okay, I'm going to start out. Dennis Wood, one of the professional videographers, has to leave, has another commitment, but I'll start out, then Alan Movick will be here. Alan Movick, one of the inspirations to do everything he's done over the past is that his uncle was a survivor of the Bataan Death March. His uncle did not even tell his own two children, which would be Alan Movick's cousins, that he was a World War II veteran, much less in the Bataan Death March. And Dennis can help me out. He's actually toured over there, and he's got a real good presentation also, but not at this time. But I think 23,000 soldiers and airmen were captured at
Corregidor.
Okay. But 6,000 died on that march. Another 6,000 died in captivity. And it was just horrendous, the horror, the torture that they went through. But Al's uncle, Philip, never hardly talked about it, died a pauper, did not apparently know about veterans benefits. But surprising as it may seem, if you go up here and look, there's some documents from the Veterans Administration and from the United States Department of the Military that he did not qualify for a Purple Heart. He was a prisoner of war. And if you look real close, Bill and I discovered this yesterday. We got his pre-induction and his discharge examinations, and look at the scars he's got. He's got scars in the middle of his forehead, his arms and legs. He was hurt in the 6 years he was in the Marine Corps in some fashion. And then we did some research yesterday, and we found out not only was that evidence, but on the back of his Marine Corps discharge, they put the words Purple Heart for ribbons and medals. And how could they claim he wasn't qualified? He didn't deserve it, much less he had. It's fully documented. And if you want to look at this, and I got C Purple Heart over. He survived, and I understand that there was a number of people, they couldn't get enough people on their boats. And when you go back over to the Philippines, you can research this, Dennis. So they had them cut off by 5. Okay, Bob, you're first. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Threes, please step forward. Number 3s in front of the whole rest of the group, because they didn't have enough room on the boats, were beheaded in front of everybody else. If you tried to escape, you were shot. Shot without question, shot without hesitation. Being shot, this is something that Al is very, very protective of. This was his uncle's when he worked in the copper mines. And if you did not, if his uncle did not have that, and I can pass this around, and the Japanese, there's Japanese writing on the back, but it would be nice if you don't touch it too much, because the oil from your skin will destroy it. His uncle, if you didn't have it before and after, you were executed on the spot. No questions, no debate, no, just executed. Boom. And every night and morning, when he went into the mines, morning and night, he had to have that. That is a very, very important piece of history. And to my knowledge, Al, for people that's been associated with the Highground for a number of years, you probably know, Al doesn't talk about this very much. And he gets sentimental sometimes when he talks. Here's something else that is very, very valuable. The United States War Department did not know that Philip, Al's uncle, was a prisoner of war. They didn't know if he was alive or dead. They got a letter, the parents, and Al's parents were named Henry and Ann. They wrote a letter. The letter was dated January 24th, and they got a letter back February 8th. They got a letter, a postcard. This is it. You can probably take it out if you try not to touch it too much. They got a postcard from the Japanese Imperial Army. Your son is in fair condition. He's a prisoner of war. And you can read that there. It's just heartbreaking. And if you have the time, my mom does all my typing, and maybe I can ask my mom, if she'll do it. But some of the letters that he wrote home, 1941, from Shanghai, China, before he went and become a prisoner of war. You should see. He talks about fishing and hunting and about haying and combining oats, or they call it thrashing in those years. And are you going deer hunting this year? You know, how does it look? Are the leaves turning color just like we took? These letters are unbelievable. We have a document too from the psychiatrist. He never told anybody, hardly anybody, about his experiences other than he talks to Al. Al probably mentioned, if he gets here in time, that they ate potato skins. The Japanese made them peel potatoes and they threw the potato skins. They had to get to the potato skins before the rats, the pigs, the cockroaches got to the potato skins. Guess what's the most healthy part of a potato that we know now? The potato skins. It was, and he talks about eating insects to survive. So, I mean,
that's all documented in Buck's diary, too.
Tell us a little bit about that, Bob. Go ahead.
All right. I'm Bob Bonesteel. A friend of mine, he's a relative. I don't know if he's a in-law or outlaw. Anyway, he didn't know, when the guys die, he didn't know what to do with the medals. And some of his war souvenirs, I guess you'd have to call it. So anyway, I got a picture of him standing here with John Wayne and all of the medals that he rated, except the Purple Heart. I don't know if there's a coincidence. He didn't have a Purple Heart. They thought he had one, but they couldn't find it. So anyway, so I put my Purple Heart in there. So he'd have them all complete. And a lot of the things that Dave said, like the potato skins, they're all documented in his diary. In about 1980 something, he sat down and wrote, Buck Buchanan, the guy in the picture, he says, I'm going to tell my story. I'm not a writer, but I'm going to tell it like it happened as I remember. And because of the time frame, there's a lot of things that aren't written in there that I'd like to know. But it's pretty much of a tearjerker just to read the thing. And also, these books, these ex-POW bulletins, see, this was like a club, like the BVA. These were ex-POWs, and they're all over the nation. They got volume 49, June 1992. I go up to 1995 about it. Anyway, it tells all about what they did is to stay together, just kind of like the BVA guys or the VFW guys. They just get together and talk, tell stories, and send out scholarships and do good deeds. Pretty much the same as we are. So, anyway, I thought there was a lot of similarities because of they got chapters all over the United States too. It's not just like Chippewa Valley. California, Florida, Alaska, everywhere.
Rhode Island, Tennessee.
Yeah. And also, just as an aside, I've got some stuff about Pearl Harbor that's the same way. One of my buddies was in the Army. That's no fault of his own.
Winston now.
But no offense intended. But anyway, he's kind of what I think of as a historian. He just, like I'm interested in things that happened before me. I give the men credit in Korea and Japanese World War II, all this stuff. They're the ones that caused us to be as good as we were in Vietnam or wherever we went from that. Desert Storm and on. Afghanistan, it doesn't stop. You wish it would, but it doesn't. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that could be tied together with the Pearl Harbor things. He collected stories. He'd have people write their story of what they did in the service. And so I have quite a few books and stuff like that of friends of mine, most of whom have passed now. But like their diaries, what they did. I had a buddy I worked with for a long time. He was a sniper in Korea. I didn't know it. I was working with the man. I was a sniper. So things like that shouldn't be hidden. They should be brought out for everyone, I think, to see. Anyway, he got shot down in a helicopter. I didn't know that either. That's a pretty traumatic thing to happen, I would think, if you get shot out of the sky. So I just wanted to say we're all in this together, guys. Thanks for all you've done and all you do.
Let's give us a big hand. If I could just mention Bob Bonesteel, and one of the reasons we're here, if you look at number 1, 2, and 3 on this little list, why we're so emphatic, and you did a great job of starting the ball rolling. We want people to order military, medical, and personnel records, ribbons, and medals that are entitled to. And not only veterans, but ancestors going back to the Revolutionary War. It's possible, usually the Civil War is a cutoff, but you can go back to Revolutionary War. The United States Department of Military Affairs, Archives, St. Louis, Standard Form 180. I'm talking fast, there's a lot to do here. But I'd like to just say, Bob Bonesteel, one of my dear friends over all these years, I gotta just mention 2 minutes. A couple of years ago, he met one of the Navy corpsmen who had earned 2 Purple Hearts and a Bronze Star for heroism. And one of these hills, they were getting overrun. The NVA were charging the hill with fixed bayonets. And the last helicopter out, a couple of years ago, Jay Tobin from Eau Claire met this Bob Bonesteel from down towards Mondovi, perhaps, absolutely, without question, one of the Marines that he put on a helicopter. I mean, unbelievable as it may seem. Bob, you want to just say a word about that?
There's lots of stories like that. That's true. Jay Tobin was the corpsman's name. By the way, old Buck was a corpsman too. I think the corpsmen have a better chance of survival than those regular grunts, because they know how to take care of themselves. They can even take care of us.
Corpsman is taken care of by his people. The last person that they want knocked out is the corpsman. I don't care what rank you are, who you are, you will protect that man, because they knock him off. You may as well bend over and kiss him goodbye, boys. Because he's 80 miles out of town. No further said. Thank you.
Whoa. To piggyback on that, there's a Marine from by Fall Creek. He has yet to join any veterans organization. He's kind of a recluse. Now he's got dementia. And this Marine from between Fall Creek and Augusta, unit after unit he was with, they couldn't keep corpsmen. The NVA kept shooting the corpsmen because, as you know, a wounded soldier in the field takes more people to take care of. You want wounded soldiers. And the NVA thought that Marines were so dumb, and Army and paratroopers were so dumb, they kept on trying to save their wounded. And they kept on trying to drag the dead bodies out. They were easy target practice, according to the NVA. I mean,
it worked backwards too. I mean, we could shoot guys and not kill them. We're among friends here, right? Just to draw out their partners.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm here to say it's been done.
Did what you had to.
Create one casualty, takes 2 more guys out of the equation to get their buddy out.
One other thing I wanted to say, we were talking about Purple Hearts and whether this man rates or not, pretty clearly he does. Excuse me.
go ahead. You're among friends, Bob.
Yeah, I hope so. That Purple Heart, when it first came out, it wasn't from being wounded. Old George Washington, he said, it was because you did a good job.
Yeah.
Somebody
During the time of this Bataan death march, I think every prisoner of war rated a Purple Heart, whether they were wounded or not, didn't have anything to do with it. But I don't know that for a fact, but I know that the prisoner of war people all got awarded Purple Hearts. And I suspect some of them didn't get wounded or anything. So anyway, that's how it was. So just for that alone, he raised his Purple Heart. And I don't know if his got lost by accident or the same kind of thing happened for old Buck here.
What about the hat?
Oh, and this is just my hat.
Oh, that's your
I go fishing and hunting, a lot of other things.
Let's give Bob another hand. That was. But what Bob is inferring is that everybody should be looking at their history, their relatives, their ancestors, because look what you have here. I mean, it's unbelievable. And this is just one example. And as you look at these different points, we're recommending that home front heroes be recognized. Home front heroes are those individuals that don't serve in the military, but they're being honored by veterans organization veterans. Henry, Alamovi's dad, Philip's father, took over the family farm. Al can verify this, but 15, 16 years of age, had to take over the farm. So we're also recommending that this be a permanent part of the display, because Al and his wife Kay has given 300 acres to the Highground. Given a donation. But we're asking that somehow this be a permanent display. And by the way, Dennis Wood and Bill Bowie are professional photographers, videographers, and they're recording this. And this, if you look at one of the last points, this could be forwarded to the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs and forwarded to the United States Archives.
Dave,
So,
he just did this a month ago.
What's that?
He just did this a month ago, give the property to Highgrounds, and it's 340 acres.
Was it 340?
Yeah, it's 340 acres. He just did it a month ago. I was talking to him outside about it, where his heart was, and it's all for military only. No private people come in here and hunt or fish or explore the ground at all. It's all just for the U.S. military and every division of it. So that's what he donated it for. So everybody that's military is welcome here. Anybody outside, it's not a tourist attraction to him.
He doesn't make money.
No, he does everything absolutely free, but he likes groups of like 10 or better to come here to like pheasant hunts, special hunts, whatever they may do, adventure, nature walks, whatever it might be. Because he said, you know, to open the place up and fire off all the water and everything, you know, it takes a little bit doing. So he really encourages, you know, groups, not individuals, to come and visit it. That's what he's telling me when I visit outside with him. But it just happened 1 month ago that he did this, that it was on his heart to give this to.
Can somebody speed him up, tell him to come in, they're outside.
You know,
Tell him to come
U.S.
in.
forces. That's pretty cool what he's done.
Yeah, they're just out there talking. We want them in here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, excellent job, Dean. And I'm going to put you on stage in a minute here. But anyway, we got to get Al here. And then Dean, we got a major effort. I don't want to. Okay, let me continue on here. If anybody gets time, please look at this. How many Filipinos were killed about? If all those were killed, Dennis, do you have an idea? To my knowledge, it's in the hundreds of thousands. Whole families were slaughtered. And Dennis, okay, how was that?
Millions.
Millions. But he's been over there a number of times. He's going back over there. He's got pictures, he's got videos, and just horrendous. Not only of Bataan, but Corregidor, how do you
Corregidor. Corregidor.
Corregidor.
Not the girl next door.
Well, anyway, but that's very important, and he's got a whole presentation that he could do on that just alone. But I think, Dean, if you could, a proposal is that Bubba's Campground during the Tomahawk Motorcycle Week in September. Dean, as a couple days ago, why don't you describe a little bit of what you've done, what you're doing?
Let them know what we're doing.
Yeah, we want them in there.
Can you guys come on in?
Can you guys all come in? So the way Dean was talking, so we need,
That much.
military police, that's, guarding the entrances here.
Yeah. Maybe get sworn in and deputized. Well, the commander, you do the deputizing.
Hey, how many MPs do we have in here? Anybody?
We don't need them, we got figure chasers.
I mean, you've been MPs.
Okay, Al, I've kind of,
I was.
I've kind of rehearsed a little bit. I went over a little bit about his discharge, about the Purple Hearts, and I went over about the letters that he wrote home, and I went over just a little bit. Dennis has got to leave, the professional videographer, so he's got to leave. That's why we had to jump. So, Al, you got the stage. Thank
Well, let's
you
give
for.
Al a hand for donating all his
It's a little bit difficult for me because my cousins, the 3 children of my Uncle Phil, who was on the death march at Bataan, and he was there 4.5 years in prison camp. When he got back at our farmhouse, where I was born and raised, is only 3 miles from here. And I was about this big when he got back. And I just remember him waking up at night screaming, because he was in the bedroom next to me, and I just scared the heck out of a little kid. And then he would routinely then fall down the stairs too. So, tough time, but his kids, he eventually got married and lived in Chicago, and his kids didn't know he was a POW until they were in high school. So he kept it from them, which was unusual, but he did not end up with what I would consider a fruitful history with the VA, unfortunately. Because when he got back from prisoner of war, they told him, well, you don't have to worry about anything for the rest of your life. Well, he died alone in a nursing home in Millsville. So, anyway, his kids, so they authorized me to, they just gave me all this stuff. His son, and his 2 sons and his daughter gave me all this material and said, do with it what you want. We don't want anything to do with it. So their dad had such a bad taste in his mouth that he said his dad didn't want us to do anything or didn't want any recognition. He didn't even want them to know he was, his kids actually found a lot of his stuff in the closet. So, but anyway, that's kind of a little bit of the background of it. They gave it to me with the idea that I would maybe eventually do one of those 8x8 boards that Dave has painted up. Okay. While he went to war, my dad was the youngest of 6. He took over the family farm at age 12. And that's where I was born and raised. But he went to, he took 8 grades in 5 years at a little country school here, about 2 miles from here. 1-room classroom, same one I went to. Basically, it's one of those kind of hometown hero type deals, you know. So somebody had to do the farm, so, and he was the youngest kid, so that's what happened. Part of the unfortunate thing of that is his dad was a severe alcoholic, my grandpa. So my dad had to pay for the farm once to his grandpa, to his dad, and then when the war ended and all the kids came home, they all wanted their share, so he had to pay for the farm twice. So, except for Phil. Anyway, if you got a chance to look at all this stuff, it's all pretty interesting. The highlights obviously are the wooden,
Here it is.
oh, okay, yeah. That's the, he was number 255. They worked in the copper mines. That was their job. And he said he had to have this when he went into the mine, or they were shot on the spot, and they had to have it when they came out of the mine, or they were executed on the spot. So they're pretty well worn. If you look at the back of it, you'll see some Japanese writing and some lettering. So this is I don't know how many of these there actually might be in the world or in the United States.
Old Buck here, he had one too.
He did, okay.
But I don't think it was for working in the mines. And it may have been a different kind of badge, but it was some kind of number or ID card they'd take.
Right.
They'd have to show the enemy.
Right. And one of the other interesting things is the postcard that came from the Japanese government.
Oh, yeah.
After 4 years, the postcard came to his dad, to Phil's dad, my grandpa, here at the farm. Postmark Willard came out of from the Japanese government. It's got Japanese postage on it, and it does say that he was in a prison camp. So that's another thing. I don't know how many of those postcards might be floating around the United States.
Yeah, that would be something.
So, and there's some miscellaneous letters. This journal is full of writings from guys that he was in prison camp with. So I think when it was over or during the process, I don't know how they would have gotten these before, but they all kind of wrote in each other's book.
Well,
Yeah.
he talks about that kind of stuff too, and I mentioned just a little bit, but these POW bulletins, when the guys got back, they formed a club too, just like us, DPA or whatever, but they were called the ex-POWs, ex-POW bulletin, and they had chapters all over the United States. So that could be how they got together after, the ones that lived through it. Right back and got to talk and write.
Wasn't there something about a number of those that were captured and prisoners at Bataan were from around here with the 32nd Division or something? Al, are you aware of that, or are you aware, Bob?
The what?
Why there were so many people at Bataan Death March from this area is that they were captured in a group.
Well, it was Corregidors where they were captured.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was anything specific. It looks like he went through regular Marine Corps San Diego boot camp, okay, like many of us did. But I don't know.
So I got another point. Old Buck here, he was Air Force. I can't remember, I read all this stuff, but I can't remember where he was. I think he was captured right on the Philippines, but I'm not sure. So, and then who else was, there's a lot of POWs. But we had this politician, the Maverick. Anyway, he was in the same prison camps, and they had little secret codes and stuff they could tap on the wall and talk in some kind of language that they made up.
John McCain, is that right?
Yeah, that's right, McCain here. So he got sent through their camps too. Anyway, there's a lot of camaraderie that comes just from being in the same path.
And in the writing, the newspaper that you had, Al, I never knew until yesterday, 23,000 troops. It was the largest United States contingent ever captured. 23,000 Americans were captured, and as I understand from here, 27 days of artillery before they were captured, and they had to give up, they'd have been annihilated, but be captured. But they said there was mountains of shell casings. 1.5 million rounds of artillery were shot at Corregidor. 1.5 million rounds. And 23,000, as I understand, 6,000 died in the march, and about that number died as prisoners. And it was just unbelievable, the horror. And in some of the 50th anniversary you found here, Al, was very enlightening. Go ahead, Al.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have tons of information. It's all here for you to look at. Discharge papers and some of the letters that he wrote. Today we call it PTSD, and they called it shell shock, and they called it something, back, through the conflicts. But in World War II, I don't think they had a real name for it, as far as I know.
Battle fatigue.
What?
Battle fatigue.
Battle fatigue. But obviously he suffered from that. He went through the VA for a lot of things to begin with. But at the end, my dad had to take him down to Toma because they wouldn't, bury him down there anymore. Because he kind of outlived his usefulness, I guess. I don't know. Outlived the promise of the VA.
Sure.
So this group is perhaps one of the absolute first groups that Al has shared this with. You're probably some of the first individuals to know why he has dedicated so much of his life and his family fortune for helping veterans. And I've been here with some of your post-traumatic stress disorder. Oh my God. The Purple Heart, when you guys have your hunts here, if you want to see some people share, get emotional, and we got to be so thankful for what you've done, you and your wife Kay. God bless your niece and nephews. They have no idea what's here, their own dad. But
Well, yeah. They just say Dad didn't want us to know and didn't want anything to do with it, so do with it. Kind of, here it is, do what you want.
But he had hung on to it.
Yeah, I'm reluctant to turn it over to newspapers and TV stations, that kind of stuff. I would have to call or clear that with at least one of the children, so.
And I'm not even related to you.
But it's just something that had motivated me.
Thanks for sharing that.
Purple Heart, I guess he should have 3 or 4 Purple Hearts, but he didn't get any from the government, so.
Bill and I found that yesterday, and I shared with them. We found the pictures of your uncle before and after, and it's right here. No wounds whatsoever before he went in the Marine Corps. He got a number of them after the Marine Corps, including center of the forehead, arms and legs, and chest. I mean, the Board of Correctional Military Records on this sheet, we got to do that. It has to be immediate family. If any of you that you think you might be deserving a Purple Heart or a Bronze Star or a service ribbon or a campaign medal or a citation or any of your relatives back to the Revolutionary War, you can turn in to the Board of Correctional Military Records and offer a little proof. This could be proof enough. At Bataan, they have no medical records, no doctors. I mean, so you can prove here. Any questions, Al? We got one more special guest. You're going to hear a special, brand new announcement in just a couple minutes. Questions for Al, his family, his donation, his dedication. Come on. Dodie, what question do you have?
Well, once a Marine, always a Marine, right?
Yeah, once a Marine, always a Marine.
Ironically, Greg, one of Phil's sons, was a Marine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, and he's the one that gave me all the stuff and kind of said, do what you want with it. So.
Well, I'm the mother of 2 Marines. That counts for something. And a sister of 1. Yeah. I think it's wonderful that you are preserving all this important information.
Well,
And yeah,
thank you.
it's an overwhelming task to figure out how to put it all together and do a presentation and.
I've never even really talked to anyone about it before,
Yeah.
before your group, but I don't, I don't feel I have. I guess I've been sort of given license secondhand,
Yeah.
but I don't, obviously it wasn't my dad, it was my uncle, So I'd like to be able to do something commemorative, and maybe, I've talked to people at the Highground, and maybe they have a museum now at the Highground, and I'm on the board of directors at the Highground. And all this property is now property, where you're sitting is now owned by the Highground. Anyway, I'm thinking that maybe a start of this might be just setting some of this up in a museum, at the Highground. They have the glass cages and stuff like that, so.
When were you in?
In 69, 71. I went in after college. The county, Clark County was nice enough to give me a deferments for 4 years.
I went to 3 years of college, and then I was in 69 to 70,
You were?
or 68 to 70.
Yeah.
68 to 70.
Yeah, I was, personally, I just went into the Marine Corps because when I graduated from college, I called the Clark County Draft Board, and I said, where am I? And she said, we are drafting your paperwork as we speak. Because you couldn't even get a job interview, let alone a job, in 1969, if you were, because everybody knew you were going to Vietnam, so. Luckily, I never was in country. I don't regret that, or I had no control over it, as you know. They send you where they, but as it turned out, the lieutenant colonel that I worked for at El Toro said everyone goes to Vietnam, so I got orders 3 times, but once I had a bad knee injury, which I'm still hobbling around with, and once I was teaching in the school and they didn't have any teachers to replace me, and another time I was 2 days too short.
Whoa,
So
wow.
they said, you still want to go, don't you? And I go, I've been to too many funerals and memorials and friends that I've lost.
The Lord had a higher purpose.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyway, happy to share it with you. Like I said, before I would do anything, what I would consider publicly, I would have to clear that with this one son. But I don't know.
Great story.
Different time.
And now for the special announcement. By the way, I want everybody to get a copy of each. Point number 6, Al, in order not to you're being recommended to get outstanding alumni at UW Eau Claire. The UW system has been notoriously negligent in recognizing any Vietnam, Iraqi veterans for employment, professorships, or outstanding alumni. We're saying that you deserve to be an outstanding alumni for your whole career. And that's another speech you can hear. And then also Don Quicker, who's been one of the, after we started the Highground, he became on board. And because of him, he made the presentation to bring the Highground. So now we got a deed asset. This is a presentation about a major fundraising effort possible for the whole Highground in Wisconsin. Oh, what's the new name of Wisconsin Adventure and Mills?
They changed the name here to the Highground Camp Victory. Camp Victory, so, which was Bill Lovick, is he here?
Yeah.
It was his idea. So, Bill's also on the board of directors at the Highground.
Given that there will be post-traumatic stress veterans coming in here, when they come, they will be told, today is a day of victory for you. You have at least your time here. You are victorious over post-traumatic stress. You will feel the healing. You're among friends. Be brave. go forward.
One more thing before you leave, I now have collector shirts that say Wisconsin Adventures on Wheels on them. Last month I was charging 25 for them, this month they're 15, so if you stick around, you know.
I have one, but I want two more, if there's still any left.
Anyway, if there's various sizes back there, you may each take one as a
There's
gift.
no smalls left, Dave.
You may each take one as a gift before you leave, if you can find your size.
Let's
Or
give Alan.
Can't find your size, find one for your wife or your
Now, Al, we want you to hear this. We want you to hear what he's about to say. I know you know a little.